pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have the roll call.
Roger,
Yep.
Paul,
Here.
Pam,
Here,
Ralph, here. We've got 2 absent, Randy and Jim.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. We'll call roll again.
Roger,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Ralph says yes.
Okay. We have the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there a motion to approve them?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
We got a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we'll call roll.
Roger,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Ralph says yes.
Okay, well, Terry will give us the budget report.
You should have before you budget. So this will be ending 11/30, so the end of November, as of November 11, where we are in our budget. 178, 113 was the current budget we're working with, and year to date we're at 142,724. So. Got some remaining, but again, we've cut back on some of the spray purchase. That's probably where a lot of that's coming from. So, any questions on that one?
Does that overflow, does that go back into the general budget and then general fund or what?
This all comes out of general fund anyway. So the budget authority to spend that money will go back. Yes, you'll
Okay.
lose that at the end of the year. But technically, the funding for this is coming out of general fund. So it doesn't really go back, but yes, the authority to spend the money is gone once after the end of the year.
When you spend less, does that affect your budget for next year?
No, we've been pretty decent, in fact, I think the few years I've been doing the budget, we've been up to, I think, as high as like 190-ish, 192,000 one year. We've been trying to cut back and again, trying to rein in the amount of chemical we buy. Russ has been trying different chemicals, so, and again, we've had a lot of chemical that was on hand for several years, stored up, so we're trying to go through some of the excess that we had sitting around, so. Yeah, and it was a little tougher year trying to get out and spray. We had some shortages on the labor stuff there, you'll see. Again, that's, we didn't need 2 guys out spraying because it was so dry during the earlier part of the year, so. And again, part of that goes to, we had that dump truck that we got from the highway department, and we have that set up with, what is that, 1,100 gallon tank? 1,700 gallon tank. We got that set up to spray, so he's been using that in townships, saving a lot of time, so. Any other questions on that one? All right, so I also did, you'll see there's another budget sheet that's attached. And again, this is the approved budget for '22. Again, I wanted to just get this before your eyes so you can see kind of where we're sitting, what we had budgeted for this year. If you go down to capital outlay, machinery and equipment, we have $3,000 in there. I think some of that is gonna be some software, possible upgrades, with the spray units that we're looking to do. So, other than that, pretty self-explanatory again, I believe. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away. So, I mean, if you add it up, we are at 171, 74, about 175,000 overall for next year. So that's going to be a decrease of about $3,000 or $4,000 from the current budget we're in. So, and again, a lot of that is spray. You know, we just haven't been purchasing as much spray. So. Questions, comments? None? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
Spray report.
Ready for the spray report?
Bet.
All right. Not much has changed since we last met. I did continue on going after a bunch of Canadian spot spraying. I forgot to total up the exact acres I got, but it was probably short side of 50% of the miles in the county. I did spot spray because the Canadians are really bad. But other than that, got through it. We didn't cover near the acres we did last year because of drought and things weren't working, and I didn't put chemical out when it isn't working just to put it out there. So we'll have lots to spray next year. Other than that, yeah, I got the chemicals ordered. One of our things, getting the chemical in the fall for the following year has saved us because next year chemical's hard to get. There's a lot of them they're talking about. It's hard, like Roundup's next to impossible. I don't use a lot of it, but us getting it in the fall prior, yeah, it's kind of annoying to store it, but we won't be short any because there are gonna be shortages next spring with all this that's going on in the world today. Yeah, chemical prices, all of them did go up. That's the way the economy's going right now. They all jumped. Some of them were fairly significant, others were a little bit, but not too bad. Jump right to the equipment report. Equipment did pretty good this year, no major failures. I did have, the oldest pump I had was leaking oil. I replaced the seal. I'm hoping we'll see the beginning next spring I might end up replacing that pump and motor. They bought it in '91, so I think we've got our use out of it. But it's been doing good and working, so. But I put new seals in it and we'll see what it does. That was a quick fix, see if we get a little farther, but I'm guessing that's the only major thing I see coming. That's about, you're in 12 to 1,500 bucks, somewhere in there, I think. The next year, Terry had mentioned in the budget, what I'm looking at getting is mapping onto my Rangers. I do a lot more spraying with the Rangers. I can map where the truck is, but not the Ranger, and they've come up with a new, I don't have to spend thousands of dollars with flow meters and all this. Basically, you hook it to a switch. When I turn the switch on, it'll record where I'm spraying. Doesn't count gallons in that, which that is the same no matter what. But it'll at least on a map show where I'm at, so that we ever get a complaint or I want to go back and see what I've sprayed. And that's what I'm looking into at the first of the year, put that on both Rangers. Other than that, Equipment's doing good, and getting that bigger truck, that was a huge labor savings. You know, I can spray 4 loads in one versus driving back to the shop reload. That's a lot of where the labor savings came last year. Any questions on spraying or equipment?
Have you ever looked into filling water elsewhere than other than the shop?
Did look into that, and then it's hauling and storing chemical. With the big truck, that was a huge step, because I can get 4 loads. You know, I'll give an example. You go down to Beersford and go 6 miles west is the corner. Well, it's a 50-mile round trip plus fill time. That was the big killer, which now this big truck, I can spray 20 miles, almost 25 miles versus 6. So it really saves up, and the hauling the chemical and that can lead to some issues loading out in the country. If I went to an injection system, that'd be a savior, because then I can pull to any water hydrant, fill up. But you're probably 3 chemical injection system on the low end's probably 12,000, 15,000. Down the road, that's probably where we should be going, but right now I've kind of got it under control and getting across it. But in the future, I think that's what we'll need to do, because then you can pick and choose your chemical, and we actually use less chemical doing that. But you're talking setting 3 trucks up, you're talking $60,000. So future-wise, that's what we'll look into. I'm thinking in a couple of years. You know, it gets to be enough competition in that equipment, it'll come down a little bit in price too, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
All right, trouble spots. Got through, I think I only had 3 that didn't get done. 2 of them had good excuses, but come spring, the worst of the worst, I send letters out early that we had issue last year. We need to be on it, and anybody that wasn't compliant or I had to struggle with, I get them a letter to make sure that, yeah, I'm gonna stay on it. And I do, anybody that gets a letter from me, I have a list, and they get followed for at least 3 years, so they stay compliant. I continually go back in the spring, and I've got, oh God, I think it's over 200 of them now that I make my lap around to make sure that they are trying, doing something, taking care of them. But other than that, yeah, as far as issues, everybody did take care of it. One was really late, and it actually got out of season for them to do anything, and I will be in contact with them again early spring to try and get them to work through something. All right, any questions on anything I'm doing or not doing?
I think you're doing a good job.
Thank you, I try. All right.
No questions? All right, thank you. Is there any, move on to old business, any old business to take care of?
I don't know if this would be old business or new business, but the minutes of the meeting did not come up on my computer at all. I don't know, did anybody else have a problem bringing these up?
I didn't try.
Yeah, it's in the email, but it wouldn't open. Did anybody else have a problem?
I didn't get them open.
Yeah, he didn't get them open either.
Check, see how she sent it. Have a look at that.
I mean, there was attachment, but you tried to open it and there was, I couldn't
We'll
get
have
it
a
open.
look into it, it might be.
It's nice to have them early.
Well, that's why they're there, so a guy can review.
Right.
We'll have her check, it might be a security thing here or something, we'll double check. She might fire one out, see you try again or something.
Okay, thank you.
Any other old business you want to discuss, or we don't have any to look at? Move on to new business. review of the declared noxious weeds.
Yeah, I put this in there, it's, next year, our county ones will have to be re-upped, but at least once a year officially go through the state declared ones, which are the 6 above, your absence wormwood, leafy spurge, Canada thistle, perennial sow thistle, hoary cress, purple loosestrife, salt cedar. Those we have to control, and in Lincoln County, the past boards and the current board, we've had musk plumeless and spotted knapweed, which are all thistles, as we want as locally noxious. Just, if you guys think there's anything else we should add or possibly drop, I would tell you from running around, musk and plumeless are gonna be on there forever. There's lots of them. Not so much spotted knapweed, but it's out there in amongst them. I believe it should stay on our local ones. And we'll have to reapply for them in 2023, which would be our fall meeting next year. But just bring them up at least once a year, going through to make sure, as a board, this is what you want us to be chasing. Unless you can think of anything else, and throughout the year, if you see something getting worse that we should chase, there's a process we can go through to add to or drop off our locally noxious ones.
Has any of these changed since last year?
They switched spotted knapweed and absence wormwood from a state and local. Absence wormwood became a state. That was the only change. We had it as a locally noxious. So there's really no change in just what category it fell into.
Okay.
As far as what I see running around the county, yeah, these are all bad weeds, they gotta be controlled. The only weed and it's one of them ugly weeds, it's chicory. There's getting to be more and more of it, and it's kind of this Newton Hills over to Highway 11 going south. Chicory's a blue flower, it's in the dandelion family. It grows as fast as dandelions. It's easy to kill with 2,4-D, but it's really prolific and gets going. Now, the backside to that is chicory is actually grown for feed because it has a high nutritional value too. So right now, I don't see that as a problem, but if you are going south, like on Highway 11, you'll see it in the the east ditch there, where it continually can get bigger. That's the only place I've seen it. 2-3 years down the road, if there's tons of it, we may have to put it as a noxious weed. And it is on the list to be chosen as one. But I do know there's a place up by Harrisburg, they grow it for feed for their horses. So that's one of them jugglers. That's the only thing I've seen really grow in the 4 years I've been here. Otherwise, everything pretty much staying the same, unless you guys see stuff or notice that I don't.
You have a lot of wormwood.
Not really. It has its spots, it's being controlled.
It's a horse pasture weed.
Yeah, that's where you see it. You know, your big pastures and that are sprayed and that, but it's more the, call it hobby farms that have a lot of that wormwood. And they do control it. It'll get so big and then they'll finally spend the money and spray.
That long Highway 11 down there, it's on both sides of the road down there, isn't it? By the Highland Township shed there.
Yeah, and you can kind of follow back where it is. And that's one of them iffy weeds because it's easy to control. 2,4-D will take it out. But if you don't go after it, it gets more and more, and it'll get to the point where, yeah, then they'll go after it. But on the same side, it does have feed value. You know, so is it really a weed, depending on who you talk to? Because there is the place up by Harrisburg, and I'm gonna actually try and stop and talk to that guy. He has horses, and I know why he does it. It has a higher protein, I think it's protein, don't quote me on that. The problem is you can't get 4 cuttings like alfalfa, but it's really high energy feed if you do it. And he's doing it right. It's bordered good, so he keeps it under control, but that's the only weed I've seen get bigger since the 4 years I've been here. But again, yeah, I was just bring this up so we have it in the minutes that we've looked at all the weeds, and like I said, next year we'll have to update our county ones. And throughout the year, if we need to change or adjust, you'll have to let me know, and we can do that. Any other questions on that? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any announcements that we,
When do we do the spring meeting? We should shoot for a date somewhere in there so we can get on the calendar. Is that in March?
yeah, I believe so.
Somewhere in the middle of March, you wanna pick a date somewhere in there so everybody kinda targets? Do that. If we get closer, it can be changed. Run my phone, I'll look at the calendar.
The 17th is a Thursday.
That's what I was gonna say, 16th or 17th for the next meeting, March? Either one,
Thursday works good for me.
Thursdays?
17th, St. Patrick's Day, if that makes a difference to anybody.
We
Well-
got green beer at the meeting.
If we do it at 8:30 in the morning, nobody will be drinking the green beer yet, I wouldn't think, so.
What do you mean?
From the night before.
So I set that date,
17th,
17th?
right now,
Okay,
okay.
8:30 in the morning again?
Early morning better, or you like after?
No, that's fine.
Oh, it's fine for me.
Okay. Okay, we'll get it set up.
Okay. Any other business we need to do before we adjourn? Do we need a motion to adjourn, or?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to adjourn.
All right, give it a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Do the roll?
Roger,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Pam,
Yes.
Ralph is yes.
Okay, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everybody.